Welcome to the Sure Shot for week 7 of the NFL season. Look, I promise you're not watching an episode of the Brady Bunch, but you have all 4 of us here. We'll be back in Tom's next week, but this week we're on Zoom because one thing we're going to do no matter what happens in our lives, we're going to make sure you've got an opportunity to make some money. I'm Chad Morton, the agent, joined as always by the legend and 2-time Super Bowl champion, Gary Clark, the disruptor, Lois Cook, 21-year professional football veteran and coach, and missing in action last week, but back and better than ever this week is the Professor Mark Gray. Everyone, how you doing?
Well, I recovered. I got the training staff for the Ravens, so I had to miss last week.
Never do you miss a chance to take a shot at those guys. Not that it's well-deserved. Hey, let's start off this week with those Eagles, Eagles. Gary, what do you got to say about them, man?
Like, they haven't been playing good all year, but they've been winning because they're a really good football team. Of course, when you're a great football team, you can play bad and still win. But they played bad this time and they lost. So
yep, to a surprising Jets team.
Like the Jets just tend to surprise. They tend to play really good against the really good teams. That's what the Jets do. When they beat the Bills, and then come in and beat the Eagles, they play really good against really good teams. And so now we have to watch out for the Jets.
You do.
I'm a little confused right now. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I think the Jets are more than a spoiler. But let's get to the disruptor because I think she went 3-1 last week. But her big call, your big call, Lois, was San Francisco having a tough game at Cleveland. You take it from there.
Yeah, no, that was I still thought that the 49ers were going to take this game. But I just looking at the Browns defense and just taking that into consideration. And you got to think about it. I mean, this is the NFL, right? You're not going undefeated this whole season.
No.
But you're not, I just don't give that to any of these teams. So yeah, I mean, it's any given Sunday, and yeah, I knew it was going to be trouble, but I didn't know it was going to be that much trouble.
Cleveland's fired up. They're all lathered up there in Cleveland. 49ers coming off a crushing win over the Cowboys, traveling West Coast. That was a trap game, and Cleveland took good advantage of it. My surprise last week wasn't a surprise so much to me, but you'll start to see a pattern. We talked about it last week, was the Commanders. Again, going on the road, winning, covering the spread and winning outright, as they tend to win the games away and then for whatever reason play terrible at home. As a bettor, you've got to watch that. You've got to watch that trend. Commanders playing well on the road, but somehow covering, but getting blown out at home. Let's start with week 1 because we got to make some people some money. People were asking about you, Professor, last week, and you missed last week. Typically, I go to the Super Bowl champion first, but let's start with you with game 1. Who you got?
All right. I think this is a great week of action, and Baltimore is a 3-point favorite at home facing a team in the Detroit Lions that a lot of people are looking at right now as the best team in the league. And I'm going to roll with the Lions here. Ravens, their offense to me still is a hot mess. Lamar and Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, don't look like they're on the same page of the book. And I don't trust their defense the way I used to hold the league late in the game. And by the way, Dan Campbell can coach. He's got his team motivated. They look like a professional franchise. Now, I'm not saying they're the best team in the league right now, y'all, but I think Detroit's better than Baltimore in this spot, despite the fact the Ravens are at home and they are a 3-point favorite. I got the Lions as a 3-point dog. That's who I'm rolling with in that game.
I like it. More on that game later. Lois, let's go to you next. Who you got?
Well, you just talked about the Commanders playing well when they're away versus when they're at home. So I'm taking the Commanders over the Giants, but we're at a +2. They have more than enough to cover this. First of all, y'all know how I feel about the Giants this season. I know, again, any given Sunday, but the Giants they're not going to be able to do this.
So you've got the Commanders. Now you actually have to give 2 on that one. So the Giants are going to get 2 at home.
They can have,
although they've been playing horrible.
But the Commanders are going to take over New York, in New York, and the Giants have not shown up this year. They're not going to show up this Sunday.
You got it. You got it. To the legend. Who you got game 1?
You know what? I got the Bucks over the Falcons. I'm giving up 2.5, but Tampa let me down the other week, so they better make up for it this week because there's no way that their team is going to lose to the Falcons. Although the Falcons, you know, they came out strong against the Commanders, but then they kind of dwindled off a bit. So I got the Bucks giving up 2.5 over the Falcons.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, the Falcons like are hot and cold, man. You never know which team you're going to get. Buccaneers at home should win that game, but it's like Baker Mayfield now is settling back into Baker Mayfield. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's where we are with that. My game 1, I'm following with the professor. We are synced, brother. Detroit at Baltimore, and the line, I think, is 3.5 now. So we've got the Lions going to Baltimore with 3.5 points, with the defense that travels, and with, as you mentioned, Ravens offense kind of in disarray, man. Receivers dropping passes. They made up for it over in England, in London last week, but this is a different defense. And I'm telling you, these Lions are for real. I see an NFC championship in their future, barring a serious injury. Detroit could go to the Super Bowl, y'all. I mean, it's hard for people to believe, hard for me to even say, but this can happen.
That's not happening.
I was going to say, Detroit's right there now. Don't have
Detroit can go to the Super Bowl.
The assembly line in a 4x4.
You're right. They could take a bus, go out there as a team, and watch it.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, I was at the Super Bowl when the Steelers played the Seahawks in Detroit.
In Detroit, yeah.
And it was cold, but Detroit this time can go somewhere warm and play.
No, Detroit was at that game.
Let's go to game 2. Wait, Gary, you got the answers. I'm taking you for game 2. Who you got, man? Let's start with you.
Game 2. Game 2, you know what? I'm going with the Ravens over the Lions. I'm going a little bit against you and the professor on this one. Mainly because the Ravens are playing at home. Typically, you tend to play better at home. And the Ravens, I'm still waiting for them to truly break out like I know they can break out. I'm waiting for that all kick into gear on the receivers to stop dropping passes, start catching passes, and become the Ravens team that we all know they can be. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen over the Lions. Although anytime I pick against the Lions, I've been wrong. They prove me wrong each time I picked against them. But this time I'm right. They're going to lose against the Ravens.
So, Gary, let me ask you, what do you think is going on in Baltimore where they just can't sort of, get that offense intact? And do you think Odell Beckham, you think it's over?
Well, I mean, Odell was he was a good receiver. He's been a good receiver. He probably still is a good receiver. But he got known mostly for a heck of a catch that he made. And that really propelled him into the stardom that we know him of. But he's never really been that guy.
Like a possession receiver.
I mean, like, for example, where he's going to like I can count on him to beat me. Like, for example, sort of like he's not Rice. He's not a Jerry Rice. But, Jerry Rice coming into the game, you got to look out for him. Beckham coming into the game, he's going to make a spectacular catch. He's going to make something that's spectacular. With those gloves, I can make a spectacular catch. Even at 61, I can make a spectacular catch using those gloves. But I never like to say that a player's career is over because nobody knows except that player, quite honestly. He knows if his career is over or not, and it could just be starting because he could be that guy that, like a Brian Mitchell, who when he was in Washington, they thought his punt returning days was over, kickoff returning days were over. He goes to the Eagle and whoop, no, he just did better than he ever did in Washington with the Eagles. So you never know when a player's career is over. And when somebody says something to a player or about a player, they can really kickstart them and be like, oh, you talking about me? No, it's not going to be that way today. And that could be with Beckham because he is a heck of an athlete. We all know that.
Well, you know what? Maybe I should send him this video.
Can I jump in?
Because I said it might be over. Go ahead, Professor.
Well, my thing is, I don't know if it's over, but we're judging Odell Beckham by OBJ standards from years gone by. You got to reduce the amount of expectation with him right now because he's not the same player. And to the thing about B. Mitch, B. Mitch never got hurt. I mean, this dude took some shots, man. He's some kind of freak of nature. He was never hurt. It's like you look at Beckham, get out of bed in the morning, he's got a hangnail. Going to sleep at night, he's got a trick knee. He wakes up in the morning, he's got a hip flexor, and he's out for the season. So, you know, his availability is what has to be questioned right now, as opposed to his ability. He can get open, he can make catches. Question is, can he stay healthy after he makes the catch?
I'm not touching that one.
Hey, Lois, I see you smiling on that one. You're up next. Game 2, who you got?
Well, I was going to save this one, but since the legend here jumped in, I'm gonna go with the Ravens too. I'm going against y'all.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the Ravens in this game. Detroit is playing with a whole lot of hoopla. You know, they feel like they big, bad, and bold, but the Ravens at home. I mean, I like this game for Lamar Jackson. The mistakes or the drops that we saw, those are correctable. And the Ravens have a lot to prove in their offense, and I think they're going to bring it.
Well, you know, that's the thing. Lamar can't throw the ball and catch it. You know, he was putting the ball where it needs to be. He's got to count on his receivers to bring that ball in. But I just think that Detroit defense is going to be a little too stiff.
You're talking about at home. You're talking about 3 points. The Ravens got it.
Ravens got it? All right. This is going to be a good week because one of us ain't going undefeated on all this. Mark, who you got, man? You up next.
All right, I'm getting ready to jump into that Commanders Giants fray. Commanders, when I saw them, they were a 1.5 favorite over
2 down.
Giants, and it's hard for me to be on the Commanders when they're seemingly on some days a dumpster fire waiting to happen, and then there's the other days where they're just a team that nobody wants to face. I don't know where they are, but I will say this: I don't think the Giants can make enough plays on offense, but I do think they can force Sam Howell into a critical mistake late in the game. So I got the Giants winning this game by a field goal at home just because Washington will slip up and take advantage of an opportunity to be prosperous and give it right back.
And historically, the Giants, Gary, I know you could testify to this, have always sort of just had the Commanders' number. It's like that was that one team that they've had a challenge with for whatever reason, even when the Commanders were dominating the division. What do you say? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hate the Giants. They were the thorn in my side the whole time I was in Washington. I was the only team that we faced that beat us 6 times in a row. I mean, that's very hard for the teams that we had. I mean, it was very hard for me to swallow, quite honestly. At the end of the day, I mean, I hate the Giants. I hate the Giants more than the Cowboys or any of that. You know, most Washington Commanders fans hate the Cowboys, but I hate the Giants. But we did get the Giants too, though. So I think it's going to turn around the way we turned it around too.
Yeah,
and beat the Giants. And I think the Commanders are going to do it as well.
Well, my game 2 rounded out our game 2 picks. We've got the Las Vegas Raiders +3 at Chicago. Again, I repeat, the Las Vegas Raiders +3 at Chicago. Raiders took care of business last week as my sure shot. This is not your father's Bill Belichick. I warned everybody last week. I hope you join me on those Raiders taking that W. Take those 3 points. Raiders go to Chicago. Look for that to go up to 3.5, maybe 4 points for the Raiders. If Chicago can somehow keep it close or win by a field goal, that half a point will come in or that full point will come in, and you will get the W with those Raiders. Disruptor, you get to go first this time. Game 3.
All right, game 3. Give me the Bills over the Patriots. The Bills are doing well enough. The Patriots are doing horrible enough. I was actually like really interested in how the Patriots would play out this season, but they have not shown me anything. So in my boo-boo garbage pile right now, so I'm going with the Bills. It's a -9, but I think they can handle that.
-9. So you got the Bills at New England, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're gonna give up 9 points. So the Bills had trouble last week. I mean, good God, they had a 14 points that they had to carry. They didn't carry it. They're going to New England. Bill Belichick is desperate, but I think I like that pick. I think the Bills they're going to win, and I think they're going to cover that 9. Professor, who you got for game 3?
I'm checking out this Browns-Colts matchup, and I can get the Browns right now early in the week at -2, and I like that. So if the Browns are getting 2 points in Indianapolis, you bet that early. I think that it's a can't miss. I think the Colts offense was coming together, but they lose Anthony Richardson, the quarterback, and that's crucial. But the Browns defense might be in the best in the league category right now. Cleveland's offense, to me, is just good enough to get a tough road win this week. So I'm going to take the Browns with the 2 points at Indianapolis to win that game.
I like that pick, and I'll have more on that later. But before that, we got the legend. Who is your pick 3?
Actually, I got the Browns over the Colts as well. I just think the Browns defense is playing awesome right now. You got a really, really good defense. Your offense just has to be okay, and you can still win football games. And right now, the Browns defense is playing extremely well. Extremely well. And I don't mind, they're going to Indianapolis. They get to come in from the cold, quite honestly.
So, you know what? This is going to be the first time in the history of this show that we had 3 people pick the same game in a row, because I'm right there with you. The Cleveland Browns are averaging 19 points a game, but carrying one of the best defenses in the league, while the Colts are averaging 23 points a game, but their defense ain't like that. Cleveland going to Indianapolis, -2, what is now 2.5. I will leave that 2.5 on the table, and I'm going to join the legend and the professor. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson is iffy. He may or may not play. He's listed as questionable. Still take those Browns. Defense travels. That's a quote from the professor. I stole it, but I'm going to give you the credit. And now what they've all been waiting for, the sure shots. Who's going to lead off? We're going with first for today's sure shot. Lois, you got it.
And I'm going to go with my team, the 49ers, over the Vikings. Listen, the Vikings can't contend. They can't. I'm sorry, but
Where they playing at?
They're playing in Minnesota.
They could play around the world for all I care. No, the 49ers are, like I said before, a solid team. I don't see a threat with the Vikings coming up against Purdy and crew.
You got it. Lois, the sure shot. The 49ers, you hear that at the barbershop, at the stadium in Newark. Lois got the 49ers.
I know my 49ers.
Legend, who you got?
My sure shot, I'm back to the Commanders over the Giants. I think, first of all, they're playing away. They play good when they're away. And I'm looking forward to the defense coming out and having another successful game. Hopefully our secondary is continuing to have picks. Hopefully we get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. But I think the Commanders, only giving up 2. I'm pretty sure that they'll cover.
Okay, so you're good with them giving up 2. That line could bounce between 2 and 3. You're still good with it?
Yeah.
Commanders. Okay. Yep. Commanders over the Giants in the sure shot. Professor, who you got for your sure shot?
Well, to me, this is the week where the mystique of the Patriots dynasty ends. It's kind of like that Humpty Dumpty thing. All the illegal video and all the deflated balls can bring the dynasty back again. That's what we are with this. Okay. Bill Belichick looks to me like the punch-drunk fighter that's been around for one fight too many, and he's going to go down hard.
Wow.
This is KO. I like Buffalo to cover the 9.5 in New England and purge themselves of years of misery in this one game.
Wow.
You know what? Now, that's why I missed this guy. I missed this guy last week. Somebody who's bringing it strong just like me. Gary tried to hold me back, but I was all over Belichick 2 weeks ago. I said, was it Tom or was it Bill?
Hey.
Tom's looking really good now.
You should never poke a god. I'm just saying, you should never poke a god.
Yo, what if he's just the God's helper? Because the God is retired, man.
Hey, God would have been smart enough to make sure that he kept players like Wes Welker and Adam Vinatieri and Tom Brady types around. I don't know what he's building with that offense, man. Sometimes success can corrupt. And maybe, just maybe, this is where Camelot is coming to a crashing end somewhere between Roxbury and Dorchester.
But you know what? I'll be the happiest man on earth if that happens. But now, what you all been waiting for? Hey, where's my drum roll? And Lois, you got to give me one for this.
Yeah.
Because my sure shot is your sure shot. The San Francisco 49ers are going to Minnesota to play the Vikings. They are giving up 6.5. This is what the old man used to call a go-back game. I asked him, what's a go-back stick? He said, that's when somebody beats your ass in the parking lot. You run to the woods, get a big stick, and you go back. Well, this is San Francisco's go-back game. They just took an L in Cleveland. They are angry, they are ornery, and they're out to prove they are still the best team in the NFL. I look for the 49ers to win and win big. 6.5, not enough for the Vikings. This is a blowout game. Put this on your list. My sure shots have been hidden. Trust me, everyone. This is the one for you. And by the way, Gary, Clarence's sure shot last week was a winner.
Yeah.
You got the pressure on you.
He did what I told him to do. That's the only reason he won.
That's all you can do, coach. Put him in position. They got to make the play.
Well, I'm going to tell you, he came through. He came through. So I hope you guys at home took our advice. Well, that's it for episode 7 of The Sure Shot. I want to say, always bet responsibly, never bet more than you can handle. And when you're ready to bet, check us out first because we got your winners. On behalf of the professor, the legend, and the disruptor, I am the agent. So good to see you again. Looking forward to seeing you next week back at Tom's Watch Bar. This is it for The Sure Shot. We will see you next week. Good luck at the casino.
You're the agent? Jerry Maguire? So, man, the body.